What do people think when you get out of one of these vehicles? They think you're wealthy, you're rich, but they couldn't be further from the truth because, shh, I'm gonna share you my little secret. There are a bunch of vehicles that will make you look extraordinarily rich, but will cost you literally nothing. In fact, in 5 years, some of the vehicles I'm about to share with you have depreciated so aggressively that you can buy that vehicle off the first owner for a song and a dance. Most of them have been well maintained. Most of them have low mileage, and many of them are in extremely great condition and certainly worth every moment. That comes with a caveat. Some of them are gonna have reliability challenges. Some of them are gonna have a reputation for brand problems, but at the end of the day, they all are gonna make you look extremely rich. I'm gonna share that list with you right now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
For pennies on the dollar, you can get these vehicles. They depreciated like a stone. Nobody wanted them. In the car enthusiast space, they didn't hold up very well, but they have absolutely a lot going for them. They're hybrid. Sure, it's a turbo 3-cylinder engine. I mean, look, you get the blue decals on there. Of course, all that crazy fins and wings right there. Look, the headlights are great looking. Plus, you get the flip out mirrors right there. And as you cycle around, look at this interesting detail here. Or how about this little crevice that runs through the back and then pops out on the other side. Very, very cool, interesting vehicle. It also has the doors that flip up. This, in fact, is the BMW i8. Yes, it's a hybrid. Turbo 3, which is more of a generator, but with the hybrid drivetrain and the electric power motivating this vehicle, it's absolutely spectacularly quick. 0 to 60 down around the low 4s, and it is a lot of fun. It has the doors, it has the looks, but the beauty is you can get these now, I've seen in the $30,000 range. Lots of these in the $40,000 range, and you can have these for basically a song and a dance. They were huge money, well into the 6 figures, and they cost an arm and 3.5 legs to get into them when they were brand new. But now that's okay. You can get into one for pennies on the dollar for the kind of money for a loaded up, tricked out Honda Civic or something along those lines. You can get yourself a car that looks exotic, looks like a supercar, and makes you look like $1 million. All of the greatness that you can expect from a supercar has the stance, it has the look. Definitely one you have to look at it. If you want to look rich, you want to look important, these cars definitely has all of those attributes. Again, you may not dazzle the car enthusiast, but that's only 5 or 10%. Everybody else sees this drive down the road, they think this vehicle's worth $1 million. Here's one of my personal favorites. The amount of bang for buck you can get from this car, in other words, the amount of depreciation is on another level, and yet this carries some serious clout. A lot of people look at these vehicles, and even though, yes, they're part of the Stellantis brand, and there has been a bit of a reliability conversation and a reputation, they're clearly not nearly as bad as a lot of critics make them out to be. They're a lot better than a lot of other brands that you can believe. You know, I've seen Mercedes-Benz that have more problems with these vehicles. The big issues with a lot of these vehicles is the electrical system, and a lot of that's because people don't drive these vehicles enough and they let the batteries draw down, and then as a result you wind up with all kinds of faults and codes, and a lot of that is self-induced realistically. These vehicles aren't nearly as unreliable as most people make them out to be, and that's why it's a huge win for most buyers looking at these. Beautiful Ferrari red Italian 4-door sports sedan like this that looks as good, that goes as good, is nothing short of spectacular. That's right, you can actually expect a significant amount of depreciation. We do get amazing wheels like we see here. Alfa Romeo, we get painted calipers. How many Hondas and Toyotas have that? Not many I know of. Veloce right here, you've got high gloss finishing here, you get the big sunroof on top, the little shark wing, and naturally here's a Giulia, so it's a Q4, and it clearly is a car that's made for all seasons. Of course, you can step up and get a twin turbo 2.9 liter V6 that makes about 505 horsepower, spectacular in the Quattrofolio version. This one here, though, is all the doctor ordered. Yes, look, you get a set of real exhaust tips. A lot of brands these days don't give you that. They get a fake glossed over finish, like a lot of Audi products. It's all fake plastic. You even get this rear diffuser back here. Looks very sporty and very much in line with a lot of the Ferrari products. Of course, you gotta like the rear taillights. Beautiful finishing throughout of this vehicle. And you circle around to the front, the headlights are smaller and unique, and there's no doubt that the front valence of this vehicle makes it look very, very aggressive. Everything about this vehicle is gorgeous. Even the interior is nicely put together. I mean, even if you go and take somebody out for a ride, they're not going to sit in here and think, okay, it looks nice from the outside, but it's trash on the inside. Now this is a gorgeous vehicle. You get perforated, heated and cooled leather seats, dry carbon look in some cases, and absolutely gorgeous stitching throughout. But with the turbo 2-liter engine in the base model, you get all-wheel drive and you have a reliable transmission. You get all of this greatness for pennies on the dollar, because in 5 years you can anticipate about 67% of the value up in smoke. That's right, 2/3 of the value gone in 5 years. Too bad for the first owner. Lucky for you, you can look rich and not have to pay the full price. Because in fact, that on average is about $17,000 residual from the original owner who paid the original $50,000, makes it almost a steal of a deal. I've even seen these vehicles as low as $10,000 with a little higher mileage on them. Gorgeous cars, and all you need to do is come up with the service network right here. But other than that, these vehicles are nothing short of a spectacular buy and make you look like big kuyans. Here's the next vehicle on our list that is an absolute animal in terms of depreciation and is definitely in your corner when it talks about getting a vehicle that's 5 years old. You can get a smoking deal and get an amazing vehicle, and quite often with minimal wear and tear, just simply because most people don't drive these every single day, and those few that do, that hurts the depreciation even more. But believe it or not, most Jaguars these days are not nearly the maintenance pigs they once were. And truly, from my personal experience, I've owned a Jag, that often Jaguars now are no better, no worse than buying a modern day Mercedes, modern day BMW, or even an Audi. They're clearly all in the same space. A lot of them have similar technologies. You can get drivetrains in these vehicles in certain markets, diesels. You can also get an Ingenium engine, a turbo 4-cylinder. You can also get a V6 supercharged in certain generations, and as well you can get a supercharged V8 in the SVR, which is an absolute beast, and it produces 550 horsepower. They also have one of the most reliable and most predictable transmissions, the ZF 8-speed. These are absolutely immense bang for buck. And guess what? After 5 years, a vehicle that was new at about $85,000 with a mid-spec is now worth about 65% less in 5 years, resulting in a vehicle that only costs you about $29,000. Which clearly is the same amount of money it costs to maybe get into a new Civic, maybe a low trim Camry, but you can have a Jaguar with low miles that's been well maintained. The Jaguar F-Pace is truly one of those vehicles that stands out heads and tails above the rest. It has a very nice waistline. As you notice, it has these beautiful hips right here. It's a gorgeous vehicle. The latest generation has the updates. Of course, you get the LED taillights in the F-Pace. The Jaguar has all kinds of nice detailing there. And of course, lots of black trim makes the vehicle look extraordinarily expensive. And most people are going to think you're rich driving one of these, because Jaguar is typically and conventionally been a luxury brand. Now, the only thing is you might have to deal with a few scrapes and nicks and dings, but that comes with a used vehicle. Largely, the maintenance has been done on these because many people purchase the maintenance programs with these. Looking rich has never been so easy driving a modern day Jaguar. You get the big kitty on there. Look at him. He purrs. He's just purring. You get R-Dynamic LED headlights. You get all kinds of beautiful vents and detailing. High gloss finishing there, as well as all over the place. And the interior is finished in an absolute gorgeous way. These new Jaguar F-Paces are an extraordinary piece. And if you wait to the end of the video, I'll share the link for my full review over on 6-Speed Car Reviews. You're gonna love the F-Pace in its entirety. And anyone ponying up for a Maserati brand vehicle like this gorgeous SUV, this Maserati Grecale right here, will know that these vehicles are worth significant amount of money. These vehicles are literal soulmates to Ferrari, and everybody knows Ferrari, the prancing horse, is the ultimate in automotive motoring. But these vehicles here too also start over 6 figures, and a vehicle like this in base trim could be as much as $105,000 in base model. But that comes at a significant loss to the original owner, because the new buyer, after 5 years, can make a huge savings and find themselves in this gorgeous SUV for pennies on the dollar. Because after 5 years of ownership, these vehicles lose about 74% of their original value, resulting in a vehicle that started around $105,000 and in 5 years ends up being about $26,700. And how can you possibly go wrong with a vehicle that looks this good, has that much clout, and clearly will have everybody thinking that you're loaded? I mean, we are talking about a Maserati, brother from another mother to Ferrari. This is a Grecale. And as you cycle around, you'll notice you get quad tips. 2 down there and 2 over here. Gorgeous big flared hips. You get the trident or the pitchfork of despair when it comes time to pay the piper for maintenance. But it's absolutely gorgeous. Look at these little handles. Beautiful. Love that. Of course, you get all piano finishing around. fold-away mirror. This is a Modena right there, and of course the state of Modena in Italy, naturally parts of where they build some of the Ferraris. Absolutely a gorgeous vehicle. You get the red calipers, you get polished wheels, and of course these beautiful headlights. The part I love the best about these vehicles is the front end, and of course that wide open grille with the massive trident in the center makes this vehicle look spectacular. So definitely worth a look. If you were thinking about buying a Kia Rio, maybe you can look at something like this instead. And nothing screams baller more than a full-size Range Rover. Right here is not the small sport, this is the full-size Enchilada. And a lot of these started around $200,000. This one has absolutely beautiful matte paint on it. Of course, you get the flip out handles. You also get an air ride suspension, so you are riding in the lap of luxury. All kinds of great detailing on the back, all kinds of high gloss finishing, and that beautiful script. Of course, it is a Land Rover product owned by Tata Motors, but everybody sees these and they know the only people that can afford these are rock stars and the King and Queen of England. These are extraordinarily expensive when new, but believe it or not, in 5 short years, you can see such a hefty depreciation to the tune of about 76% gone up in smoke, leaving a $200,000 vehicle like this only worth about 47 grand when it's all said and done. Now, while 47 grand is not chump change, you've got to remember we're starting to talk about a Mazda CX-50 that's well equipped. We're talking about a Toyota Highlander that's well equipped. But instead, you can get yourself a Range Rover and people are going to think you are extremely rich. Now, this comes with a caveat. Of course, because it's an expensive vehicle brand new, when it comes time to service these down the road and you only pay 50 grand for these, you're paying Toyota Highlander dollars. The unfortunate part is the maintenance and the repairs and the servicing still are in line with a $200,000 vehicle. So you've got to be aware of that. You've got to know that there are failure modes, electrical issues, infotainment problems, potential leaks, air ride suspension that lets it settle down. There are some failure modes. But now with the upgraded BMW engine drivetrains under the hood, it means they're more durable than they were in previous generations. 5 years is not a long time to wait. Let the first owner take it, pick it up, use it for a few miles, you come in and scoop it up later and buy it for Highlander cash. Full-size Range Rover, absolutely brutal depreciation, makes it a huge win for you. Here we have a Maserati Ghibli, which is one of those vehicles that also takes a pretty substantial beating when it comes to depreciation. And these vehicles here are about 66% of their original values up in smoke in 5 years. But more to the point, in terms of Maserati cars, the one that actually hits much, much harder is the upstream version, or is the upscale version of this. They call it Quattroporte, which has potentially a Ferrari-derived engine under the hood. The vehicle is slightly larger and longer than this, but it has a lot of the same features. It also has carbon fiber parts here, carbon fiber there, carries the same badge right there, and you'll notice it also has carbon fiber parts all over it. But the Maserati Quattroporte actually takes a significant hit. When you're talking about starting prices around $140,000, $142,000, it's a big, expensive car to own. But unfortunately, like a lot of those very premium Stellantis products, those who want to have it buy them new, but there's no secondary market for these vehicles. Nobody's really shopping for a late model Maserati, largely because they're worried about the service parts and costs right there. The service shop always is full, and the shop and hourly rate is significant. $200, $230, $250 an hour rate to get your Maserati plugged in. And unfortunately, once warranty's gone, the fact that the service shops, you have no way to shop around. There's usually one in a city of 1 million, 2 million people. So ultimately, to get into a Maserati Quattroporte, beautiful cars, they sound amazing. And I truly do believe to drive a Quattroporte does make you feel like a rock star. It makes you feel rich, and many other people are gonna think you're rich too. And the beauty is with the Quattroporte, they've been around for some time and they really haven't changed all that much. So you can get one that's a few years older and it doesn't feel like it's dated. It doesn't feel like the previous generation. It just feels like a Quattroporte, and they're a beautiful, premium, luxury, sporting four-door sedan in the Italian way. They're absolutely gorgeous, just like this vehicle. You do get the big calipers on the front. You do get beautiful headlights, and very much you do get the same sort of grille as you see in this vehicle here with the Trident. They're absolutely gorgeous vehicles every which way from Sunday. But where the previous owner paid $140,000 plus for their new vehicle, in 5 years, you can get into one of these, and chances are they have low mileage. Nobody drives them. They buy them, they drive them, they think they're going to put a bunch of miles, and then they generally don't. They're scared to drive them, they're scared to mile them out, because a lot of them are leases, so a lot of people don't want to put on the miles because it hurts the lease cost or the lease buyback. It ends up causing the customer to not want to put a ton of miles. So you can get into one 5 years later After they paid 140 grand, you can get into one for an average of just over $40,000. Again, for the cost of a base Honda Accord or some other middle-end or fair to middle-end vehicle, you can get into a very premium Ferrari-inspired Italian supercar with 4 doors. And in case you want something just a little bit more reliable, I'm gonna share some of the most reliable vehicles of 2025. You're gonna love that list. It's gonna help you. If you've been in the market, it's definitely the place to go. Hope to see each and every one of you folks. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.